All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into a truly disturbing case from Ballymoney.
Yeah.
It involves a baby, a very young baby, whose life has been forever changed because of a brutal assault. He's now blind and has really severe brain damage.
You're right.
Christopher Fulton was found guilty of causing these horrific injuries, and Amanda Fulton, the baby's mother, was also convicted for her role in letting this all happen. Sentencing is set for April 2025, so we're still waiting on that.
Yeah.
We've been poring over court documents and news reports, trying to understand the complexity of this case and, well, the implications for everyone involved, and frankly, just all of us. And we want to break it all down for you today.
Definitely. This is one of those cases that really forces us to confront the vulnerability of children, and it just underscores the devastating and lasting effects that abuse can have. So understanding what the evidence tells us is absolutely critical.
Absolutely. And the impact on this little boy's life is it's truly heartbreaking. You hear the foster mother's testimony and you can't help but be moved. Just imagine, a child who will never get to see a sunrise, who won't ever be able to understand something as simple as a toy, a child who can only communicate through crying and hurting himself.
Yeah, it's really tough to hear.
But at the same time, you see the immense love his foster family has for him, and, it makes you appreciate the enormity of what's been lost.
Absolutely. One thing that really stands out to me is the contrast in reactions during that testimony. While Amanda Fulton was reportedly in tears, Christopher Fulton seemed completely emotionless, even when they were discussing the life-limiting nature of the baby's injuries.
Right, it's chilling.
You could bet the jury noticed that, and it probably weighed heavily on their decision-making.
Oh, I'm sure it did. Now let's go back to the day of the incident, November 7th, 2019. The baby was found unresponsive at home, but there was a 3-hour delay before anyone sought medical help. That's a long time.
It is, and that delay is a really crucial point in cases like this, cases with such severe injuries.
I can imagine.
For someone to claim they didn't understand the gravity of the situation, when a baby is unresponsive for that length of time, well, it raises a lot of questions. And those questions become even more significant when you consider the extent of the injuries that were discovered later.
It's hard to believe someone wouldn't realize how serious that is. So when the baby finally got to the hospital, an initial scan showed a head injury. They transferred him to a specialist children's hospital, and it was there that the full horror of the abuse came to light.
It's just awful.
A fractured skull, bleeding on the brain, and bleeding in the back of his eyes as well, which is just awful. 27 rib fractures, broken bones in his legs and wrist, and even a lacerated liver. The number and severity of these injuries are just shocking.
The medical experts were very clear in their testimony that these types of injuries, especially in a baby this young, are usually only seen in extreme situations like high-speed car crashes or falls from several stories. They just don't happen under normal circumstances.
Right. It's hard to fathom. So how did the defenses try to explain all of this? What were their arguments?
Well, Christopher Fulton's defense team tried to point to his lack of any prior convictions for violence, but the jury clearly didn't buy the lack of awareness argument, especially with all that medical evidence stacked against him. Amanda Fulton's defense, on the other hand, emphasized that she hadn't directly inflicted the injuries, that she was dependent on her husband, and that she posed a low risk of reoffending in the future.
So they were sort of trying to paint a picture of her as, like, a victim of circumstance?
Exactly. It's interesting, though, how the jury reached different verdicts for each of them. That suggests that they carefully considered each individual's role in what happened, and they weren't willing to let Amanda completely off the hook.
It makes you wonder how those deliberations went. That must have been tough. So the trial itself went on for 5 weeks. The prosecution really hammered home the severity of those injuries and that crucial 3-hour delay in getting help. And of course, we've just gone over the main defense arguments. Now let's shift our focus to the child's life now, after all of this. He's tube-fed, can't speak, has significant cognitive impairment, requires daily medication for pain, and is considered to have a limited life expectancy. It's hard to process. The foster mother's words about him never being able to see a sunrise, well, it's just a powerful image, and it really sticks with you.
It does, and it really drives home the point that child abuse can have these permanent, devastating consequences. The potential that's been stolen from this little boy is just immeasurable, and the ongoing care he's going to require underscores just how deeply this impacts everyone involved in his life. Not just him, but everyone around him. It's a ripple effect.
And the foster family, they're the ones who have to deal with all of this day in and day out.
It takes a special kind of person to take on that responsibility. But they're the unsung heroes in all of this.
Absolutely. So finally, sentencing is scheduled for April 4th, 2025. The judge has already indicated that Christopher Fulton is looking at a very serious sentence, possibly in the range of 19 to 22 and a half years, because he's been classified as a dangerous offender.
Wow.
Amanda Fulton will also be sentenced based on her convictions, so we'll have to wait and see what the judge decides.
That sentencing guidance is a clear reflection of how seriously the justice system is taking these crimes against a completely defenseless infant. I mean, this wasn't just a lapse in judgment. This was deliberate and brutal.
It's a strong message. So here we are at the end of this deep dive, and it's a deeply unsettling case. It really lays bare the horrific and long-lasting impact of child abuse. The sheer brutality of the injuries this baby suffered is just staggering. And while the legal accountability might differ for each parent, it highlights the complex responsibilities that come with being a parent. The responsibility to protect your child above all else. I think at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what does a case like this say about us, about society as a whole, and how we safeguard our most vulnerable? What are we doing? What more can we do to prevent this from happening again and again? It's a sobering question, and it's one that we all need to think long and hard about.
I agree. We can't just turn away from these difficult cases. We have to learn from them and work towards a future where every child is safe and protected.
Real sad.